So today is May 24th. On May 17th, I woke, I slept a few hours. I think my uncle woke me up or something like that. But it was the Sunday morning, and normally I like to attend the 10 a.m. service. And so I turned on my television set, opened up the web browser on my Fire, Amazon Fire TV, and I went to the Church Without Walls, and I attended my church service, and I enjoyed the church service. And then after the church service was over, for some reason I just felt so exhausted, so I fell asleep. I didn't take a formal nap. I just fell asleep. And I had this dream. In this dream, I lived in this apartment someplace. It kind of looked like, these apartments that I live in are very interesting apartments because they're not in any city that I've ever seen in the world. It's kind of almost like a configuration of different cities, but it was a nice, very nice apartment. The vistas were very nice. And this guy, I guess he was a close friend. He wasn't like he was my boyfriend. He was a close friend. And I guess he lived next door. We were going somewhere. And as we were walking somewhere. And I looked up in the sky and there was this white airplane. And on the right side of the airplane, it looked like, it kind of looked like, those helium, those, oh gosh, hydrogen planes that they have, when they have the Airbus, when they have over sporting events and they're advertising Budweiser or something like that. It was pure white. The airplane was white, and it was like that was attached to the side of it, and it sort of looked like a missile also, but it also looked like it was at helium, so it was huge. It was almost like the size of the plane, and so because it was on the right side of the plane. This is the airplane. This is the airplane. And then you have another attachment that's on the plane. And so guess what? Since it's not on both sides of the plane is not level. And so the plane was flying like this. It was flying like this. It was, you can tell that the pilot was trying to keep the craft level. And so it was flying, flying, flying. It was just shaking, shaking. And as it was flying, and so I was like, what's that? What's that? And then I had to shake the guy and say, look, I pointed up in the sky. What? Because it looked like it was going to crash. I'm like, what's that? And he looked, and the moment that we looked and really saw, and it was like in a distance. It wasn't like the plane was right on top of us. It was like in our city. It was like, several miles away. So it was an impact. It would have, we would have felt the impact of the crash, but it would not have been like, oh my goodness, my building was flattened. We're going to die. But as soon as he paid attention to the plane, all of a sudden we looked straight up, and it's doing a nosedive. It's doing a nosedive, like straight on top of us, coming straight down. It's doing a nosedive. And it's like, oh my goodness. And so before we can run back into the building, it crashes, not like right on top of us. It's still in a distance when it crashes. But it's like gas came out of the plane and we couldn't breathe. And so it wasn't like there was a crash that blew up some buildings and stuff. It was like there was this gas. And I was like, oh my gosh, we need to get into the basement. It wasn't like radiation, like it was a nuclear bomb and there was radiation. It was like a bomb that hit. When a plane hit, there was like a bomb that went off, and there was a gas that was released. And so we couldn't, we hit the ground. We couldn't breathe. It was like, we need to get into the basement. We need to get into the basement. So we got back into the building. We crawled, ran into the building, got back into the building. And then we went upstairs and said, we can't grab a lot of things. We need to just get like a few, because we need to be downstairs in the basement for a while. So ran upstairs, and I don't know why it was like when I got upstairs, it wasn't a front door. It was like it was a window in the hallway, and I had to open up the window and climb. I don't know why I had to climb into the window to get into the apartment, but needless to say, I went through the window. I think he went through the door. We got in and we were in the bathroom, and he was grabbing his toothpaste. And I said, well, we need a toothbrush. We need this other stuff. And he was needing something. It was like he needed like a battery pack or something, or SD card. It's like, I don't have enough SD cards or something. I said, well, I have it in my apartment. And so he needed something, and so we were like getting like a few things. Not a, we weren't packing big bags. It was like a little overnight, like something small enough to be like a little overnight, thing that you would bring, a little kit bag that you would bring on an airplane that had like toiletries or something like that. And that's kind of like the little sack that we had that we were gonna take to go down to the basement, and of course water and stuff. And so I said, well, I have this thing that you're looking for. Let me go into my apartment. And so while I went there, I said, well, I have this small TV on top of my dresser. Let me grab that. And so when I went to my apartment, all of a sudden I had a roommate, a male roommate, and there was somebody in the apartment with him that he was talking to, like he was doing some interior design thing. And it was something I was like, did he not notice that this plane went down? And so I'm trying to get his attention, and he's ignoring me talking to his friend. And I'm like, you know what? I don't have time. Let me just grab this TV so that when we're in the basement, we can watch TV and see what's going on. And I look out the window, and where the plane went down, there was lava. So it was like there was this huge like boulevard. If you ever been to Manhattan, they have these huge 4, 5, 6 lane streets. In Shanghai, in China, in Shanghai, and in Beijing, they have those huge streets as well. So it sort of felt like we were in an Asian city. Not necessarily in the United States of America, like we were in an Asian city, but it was English speaking. And so it was huge. So but it wasn't Singapore or Hong Kong. So it was a huge street. And so in Texas they have like a mile between our main street, so it's set up like on a grid, but there's a mile. So you have a main street, then there's 1 mile, another main street, and in between that mile you'll have residential areas or businesses or whatever. And so that's and so they'll have like master plan communities, and inside you'll have like their own little streets or whatever. But on that grid, all these major streets are set a mile apart. So that's sort of how it was. But instead of there being buildings like out in front of my building, was like it was a clearing, like they were going to do some construction on the building. And so I was able to see that other street that was a mile away. So I'm pointing. Actually, I'm looking at the camera. I say, was it this way? So I got to go the opposite direction. So it was a mile away. And so that's kind of like way off in, I'm trying to see where my hand is, way off in, there we go, there we go. Okay, so way off in the distance was where the plane crashed. But instead of there like being a huge plume of fire where you could tell it crashed into some buildings, there was lava flowing in the streets. And so, and then I was trying to get the TV off the stand, but for whatever reason, it was attached to the wall with these thin cables, and I couldn't, I guess I thought somebody was going to steal the TV. I don't know what was going on. I was struggling and struggling. I was like, and then I was looking at the lava, and I said, we can't go to the basement. We need to get in our car and go. I was like done with trying to get my roommate's attention. At that point in time, I was like, get it with the TV. I was going to go out and grab my friend and said, we need to get in the car and get out of here because there's lava coming down the street. And I can look out and I can see people trapped in cars, and you see people running. People were running. Next thing you know, I'm going to turn around and go and grab my friend. Next thing you know, I'm outside in the street, a mile away from the lavas, and I can see the people in that street. The cars are backed up, and it's like the street is flooded with water. So it's like water has gone up on the cars, above the tires on the car, and people are trapped in traffic. They can't get through, and there's water in the street, and then behind the water is the lava that's coming. So it's like the street is flooded, and then the lava is coming behind that. And so I'm like, oh my God, this liquid came out of this plane, and it's turning into lava, and it's burning, and it's going to kill us all. And so then all of a sudden behind me, there were these people. I know she was like the woman that was in front, she was like an Asian woman, and she had this huge can of water. And it was her and some other people that were behind her, and they were pouring out the can, like the top of the can was open. So it's kind of like, like a can of tomato soup, say that. And you just take the top of the can off, but the cans were big. They were like thick cans. And she was like pouring in the street and going, drink. I'm trying to get my hand so you can see it. This is like really, I gotta learn how to do this. Okay, so there we go, there we go, there we go. So it was like she was pouring it and going, drink, drink. And as she was pouring out the can, water was coming out of the can. And meanwhile, I'm down there in the street with everybody now. And I'm like, oh my God, I gotta run because this water that they're pouring out of the can is gonna burn me up. It's gonna kill me. And so I'm running, running, going, I can't let this water touch me. So I get out the street and I'm in like that field. They're clearing, trying to get up to the top of a dirt hill, trying to get away, and before, and she was like, drink, drink. And they just kept pouring cans and cans of water, drink, drink. And it was just filling the streets up and everybody's running, everybody's running, everybody's running. And I'm running, trying to get away. And the building that I was in, of course, was in a little bit in the distance. And I woke up, I was like terrified. I was terrified.